Welcome to the newest episode of Herbie Sports Talk. My name is Tyler Big Herbie Herbach. To the other side of the table is Travis Little Herbie Herbach. That's honestly, anyone asking, Big Herbie and Little Herbie, it runs from our dad. He was known as Herbie, and we're in a fantasy sports league. In a fantasy football league, and that's what we're known as. It's Big
and Little Herbie.
Yeah, so. That's what we're just kind of running with that, just so you guys could have an understanding of our origin here.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining in with us. As always, make sure after the episode to hit us up on all of our social medias: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're gonna be on YouTube. You listen to us on Spotify and iTunes.
Yep. Check out
we definitely want to hear your comments.
Yeah. Check us out on YouTube. I mean, it's more than just an audio show.
Yep, for sure.
We're gonna blow this thing up.
So we got a few different topics. We're kind of gonna be all over the board today. We want to start with the unfortunate accident of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
This happened on Tuesday morning around 7 a.m. Pretty bad accident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure at this point you guys have already seen this, but I want to give you kind of our take on it. Just let's kind of run through this. It's around 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. It was a single car rollover.
Yep.
Luckily, no other car was close to getting hit. But they said that once it started rolling, it did travel roughly 700 feet.
Yeah.
So that's a long way.
Quite a distance.
He was actually on his way to the golf course. He had been doing this deal with Oprah where he was actually giving golf lessons to famous people. So like the day before, he was on the course with Dwayne Wade and David Spade.
Yeah.
And then he was actually on his way to meet Drew Brees and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, they were supposed to do. I heard they were supposed to do a video shoot at that time as well.
Yeah,
there was a commercial or something going on.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of this whole deal. So that's what he was on his way to. He was in an area that is apparently notorious for high speed.
Well, yeah. So, the story is I heard this from the Los Angeles AD.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that this is actually a road that's claimed between two inner cities. It's outside of LA County. It's two different smaller counties that they actually a shared joint custody over road condition. And the sign is posted. It's a 45-mile-an-hour curve. That's the sign that's posted. But we're so far from the AD or the DA.
Yeah, the DA.
Excuse me. Yeah, the DA is saying that the city is actually going to be liable for this because there's been accidents before Tiger,
mm-hmm.
that had caused that the no changes have been made, no signage, no extra guardrails, no extra changes in miles per hour. That's been causing a lot of issues. So it looks like it's going to be the city's fault. At fault for this one.
Right, yeah. Apparently around this corner, it's also on a downhill slope, so you end up picking up speed really easily and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
This has been, the sheriff came out and said this was the 14th accident just this year in that exact same area.
Yeah. So it just proves, it's a hostile road, it's not a good road condition.
Yeah.
And yeah, the signage needs to be improved and the safety protocol needs to be improved around it, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, if you guys know anything about Tiger's past, he's definitely had his issues. Specifically with drugs and alcohol. And luckily, it was confirmed that there was no alcohol or drugs in his system at all. He was not impaired in any way, which is good. Hopefully, he can stay that way with these massive injuries that he took on.
Yeah.
And, obviously, they're going to be putting him on some pretty major painkillers.
Hopefully, mentally, he's a little stronger than his past. And it's a little easier road for his recovery on this one.
Hopefully, or he might have to really just kind of fight through the pain and try not to,
because
he knows he obviously has. It could be easy for him to slip back into a bad pattern. So going to his injuries,
pretty significant here.
Yeah, both legs, mostly to his right leg though, where he had a compound fracture of his right tibia and fibula.
In both the upper and lower portion of the two.
Multiple, and shattered his ankle.
Yeah.
Which obviously your ankle is already like a dozen different little bones altogether. But shattered, including the talus bone, which is literally the bone that connects your lower leg to the ankle, or your lower leg to the foot.
Yeah, I heard that there was severe foot damage too, along with the outside of the ankle damage. There was foot alone bone damage, and then the doctors came out saying that during surgery they had actually cut some muscle through as well to relieve swelling and help with infection rate, lowering infection rate on that too. It's going to be a very long recovery. It's extremely serious injury, not even outside of the bones being able to heal, but you got the amount of ligament damage and cartilage and muscle that needs to kind of get its strength back is going to take some time, naturally.
For sure. I mean, honestly, anybody who's talking about, whether he plays golf again, that's so irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that he's able to walk again. I mean, he still has young children, He wants to be. We want him to be able to play with his kids going forward.
Yeah.
And if he never plays golf professionally again, who cares?
Honestly, I think it's. I mean, he's not going to. There's no reason to. I mean, he's 45. He had severe injuries.
He just had back surgery a month ago.
Yeah. And I mean, the greatest thing is that he can. I mean, if you know his past, all the issues he went through, is out of the injury wise, kept him out of golf for a long time. His personal reasons kept him out of golf for a little bit longer, and he finally got to come back. He won the 2018 Masters. He kind of
which was amazing.
It was like that needed to happen. That was just a heartfelt moment in sports history that he was able to come back on all the adversity, come back to win the top echelon, the Masters, to get the green jacket again. And so the fact that he was able to accomplish that, he had that kind of revamp of his entire life, not even just his golf career, but brought his life back to normalcy.
Oh yeah, it was definitely one of the best story arcs in sports we've ever seen. And the cool thing about the Masters too is there's that picture of when he won his first Masters when he was 16, and he comes off the course and hugs his dad. When he won the last Masters in 2018, in that exact same spot, he hugs his kids. Yeah. It's amazing.
So,
give me chills just talking about it because it's such an amazing moment.
Yeah. So I mean, this you don't have to question. I mean, Tiger's the GOAT no matter what. But it's the fact that he was able to come back. You won the Masters. You're just good, go Tiger, right? Good for Tiger. So it's you're not even worried about the golf. He's done it all. He's done it all. I mean,
right.
You worry about his longevity of his life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And what he can do outside of golf.
And the other cool thing too, we've never seen him professionally on a golf course. The last time we did was him playing a golf tournament with his son.
Yeah.
And if that's the last image we have of Tiger on a golf course.
Great.
I mean, it's like a storybook ending.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we're just looking at him to get healthy. Really, I want to see him get healthy, and I want to see what he can contribute to outside of the professional golf game. Because he's a great advocate for a lot of things. Outside of golf itself, I mean, just his personality and what he's able to go through and come out on top of.
Oh yeah.
With all of his issues, I mean, he's a great person to have around in the media.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that before Tiger Woods, minorities, for sure, didn't care that much about golf. When Tiger Woods came on, minorities and in the black community in general. That's when they started to get into golf. It's because of Tiger Woods. And the same thing for, I think, younger kids like me. I didn't care about golf at all.
Until Tiger,
but then Tiger comes along. And granted, Tiger is older, has been around basically my entire life. But, his dominance is what led so many people into even looking at golf. Because, you're like, what is it? This guy's out here, just destroying things.
Yeah.
And, he was so much better than everyone else that you wanted to see that kind of dominance. I think that golf wouldn't be what it is today without Tiger Woods. We talked about this in the last episode of the modern day superstar wouldn't be happening without Michael Jordan.
Right.
Tiger Woods did the exact same thing for golf that Michael Jordan did for basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing is that golf. By the time Jordan got to the NBA was already was turning into a global sport already. Mm-hmm. Golf didn't get anywhere near that fashion until Tiger. Tiger took golf from a small-time thing you did with your buddies on the course to a global, real tournament, real-life sporting event. A huge sporting event.
Just to put this in perspective in terms of, money-wise, this weekend there's a tournament that started yesterday. I can't remember the golfer's name. He's ranked, 16th in the world or 19th in the world. Good golfer. He had a terrible day yesterday.
Yeah.
Shot, 11 over. And then last night he withdrew from the tournament. Didn't give any reason why he just withdrew.
Okay.
Probably because he shot terribly.
Yeah,
right?
Wow.
But because of the tournament that they're in, and there's no cut, and it's at the WGC, the World Golf Championships, there's no cut line on it. So he's coming in last place because he's
he
left.
Quit.
He's still getting $32,000 for 1 day's work.
For 1 day's of shit work on the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of money is not there without Tiger Woods.
Not even close. Not even close. The golf game isn't what it is without Tiger Woods.
Yeah, period.
And there's not another guy in reality outside of Tiger that did anywhere close.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's some bigger names and great career names, but without Tiger, golf's still a small-time sport.
Sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
By far.
I mean, obviously, everyone, Jack Nicklaus is there, and Jack Nicklaus with the things that Tiger went through with his career, never quite getting there. Jack Nicklaus, for the most part, will probably still be considered the GOAT. Tiger's going to be the best golfer in my mind.
Yeah.
Because he was so dominant.
Yeah.
He might not get there in the longevity, but he was dominant. But before that, like, you just didn't have like young kids coming in and wanting to play golf. Especially the one thing about the people you have now, like Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, things like that.
Yeah.
They are athletes. Like, you can see that in what they do. They could have, without Tiger, they would have played other sports. They wouldn't be golf. They would not be golfers.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I 100% agree. So, I mean, yeah. Tiger's in good spirits. Surgery went well.
Yep.
I mean, he got transferred to a different hospital for more rehabilitation. He doesn't need to be in surgery center.
Yeah.
So, everything, it's looking up. You know, things look good.
We just hope that he comes out healthy after all this. He can go through recovery and just be able to still live a full life.
Yep. And we'll wish him the best, of course, like everybody else is.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but we're going to switch gears. We have two football topics to get into.
Yeah, we've talked about them a lot. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. We'll talk about Deshaun Watson first. There's been new information that's come out.
Yeah.
So let's start with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he says that he's not playing. He told David Culley that, the new head coach of the Texans. He told him that he has zero intention of ever suiting up for the Texans again.
Yep.
And that he has no problem sitting out the entire season to do so.
Yeah. So he finally sat down with new head coach David Culley last Friday, as was reported.
Yep.
The first time they ever sat down together and said the same thing. He reiterated, "I will not play for you. I will not play for the Texans. I won't play for you. I'm not putting on the jersey. I don't care."
Yeah.
He goes, "I will sit out," which him sitting out loses him like $26 million, but he doesn't give a crap. Which, I mean, if it's
he'll probably make up for it.
He'll find, he'll make up for that loss. I don't think he cares about the money. He cares about the respect and what's going to happen. The more interesting is, right after this meeting, he came out on Twitter and said, quoted, "Loyalty is everything. Don't you ever forget it."
Yep.
So no matter what David Culley said to him, we said this probably a month ago, plus that, no matter what Nick Caserio or David Culley go to him, you can say whatever you want to him. The owner can say whatever you want to him. You lost his trust. He lost all faith in you.
And his issue really, it's more with the ownership. It's not like these new guys coming in. Sure, maybe he didn't want them, but he has no like bad blood. His issue is with ownership.
Yeah.
And to speak to that, there's this really, really odd story that came out. But I heard it on the Colin Cowherd show, and it came from Sage Rosenfels, who was a career backup quarterback, but he started his career as a backup in Houston with the Texans, back when David Carr was a starting quarterback.
Okay.
Right? So Cal McNair is the son of the owner, and he's part of the executive team, right?
Yeah.
Has an office at the facility to do so. So David Carr had gone in to have a meeting with Cal McNair. When he came out, Sage Roosevelt, he's new to the place. He's like, "Hey, David, he goes, I'm new here. I haven't actually met the McNairs yet. What's Cal like?" And David Carr said, "Well, I went into his office. He doesn't have a desk. He has a huge TV on the screen, and when I walked in, he was playing video games."
What the hell?
Yeah. I'm sorry, like, cool, yeah, you can play video games, that's not an issue. Why are you doing it at the team facility?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you be working? Like, you're at the team facility in your office. You don't have a desk there? So like, what, is it just like a fucking playroom for you?
That's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It shows the...
I mean, if that's still the case today, I mean, you're talking David Carr, that's a decade ago. That's 10 plus years.
This story was from 14 years ago.
Yeah, so that was 2000s, in 2008.
2005?
Yeah.
Roughly.
So you're talking if maybe he doesn't have the flat screen TV and the video games there anymore 14 years later, but if that was the case then, I see it probably hard that he's still not the same. He's probably still the same character.
Yeah.
He might not be doing the same things, but he's probably still the same dumbass.
It shows just the ineptitude of an organization.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like that's not the way you should be spending your time. Sure, you need to have coaches spend a lot of time at the office. Like, they might be there 20 hours a day,
right.
And make sure you have your vices. Maybe you got to break away, but I don't know. To not even have a desk in your office, like, you're supposed to be an executive of this team, and you don't even have a desk to take care of business when you need to be working. Like, what are you doing the whole night?
Yeah.
Especially when you have the other thing. You have a scheduled meeting with a player, right? It's not like David Carr just walked into his office.
Yeah.
It's a scheduled meeting, and you couldn't take the time to turn off your video game?
I mean, just stupid. That's just embarrassing. And yeah, like I said, he's probably still the same character. He probably still is the same childish, immature, non-leading executive there. I'm sure it hasn't changed that much. And it should be obvious if Deshaun Watson is this pissed off. It goes beyond.
Oh, yeah.
It goes beyond his dad and him. I mean, there's multiple reasons. That's embarrassing. I mean, that's just
super embarrassing.
I mean, we talked about the Andre Johnson tweet months ago as well when this story first surfaced that he was like, yeah, get out. This is the most embarrassing front office and organization in the NFL. And that's probably one of the reasons Andre Johnson, who was a dominant receiver, could have been one of the best receivers of all time in that conversation, retired so early. He was like, this organization could have just...
Yeah, I think he played 10 years, but he could have played a little.
He could have played longer, but I think that organization just took the life out of him. Is what it could have happened.
I mean, it certainly seems like Houston's organization is similar to, like, Detroit, where they waste their best talent because they don't know what they're doing.
There's the culture, the aspect, the mentality is all just not fit enough to compete in the NFL. That's one of the highest competitive sports in all of sports.
And that's coming from a guy like Andre Johnson, who was there during the best years of the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they had him, they had Aaron Foster in the backfield, Matt Schaub at quarterback, who they probably could have been
years.
Yeah, but they could, if they had a better quarterback, they probably would have been a Super Bowl contender. Yeah. They also had a good defense behind him too.
Yeah.
Like, if they up that quarterback play just a little bit, they'll probably make at least one Super Bowl, I feel like.
Yeah, they had their chances to be a great team, and they blew it. And as far as
blowing it again,
and they're blowing it even to continue. I mean, they haven't really made up for it at all. So yeah, if I'm Deshaun, I mean, I said we both said it for months now on end that you got to go. He's got to go.
Oh yeah,
he's not changing his mind, and that relationship is completely lost, and that's. So be it, and I think I agree with him. I probably would. I would do the same thing if I was in his shoes.
I leave too.
I'd want out too.
All right, so enough on Deshaun Watson. Let's move over there.
Pretty basic. Get out, get him traded, get him somewhere better where he can show off his skills.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to Russell here. Just the newest twist in all this.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has his agent came out, not Russell himself. His agent's now speaking, saying that Russell has not demanded a trade. And that he wants to play in Seattle.
Yeah.
But if they were if the Seahawks were going to entertain a trade, they would accept a deal to Dallas, New Orleans, Las Vegas, or Chicago.
Yeah.
What do you think about that list of four? It's kind of weird to me. Why those four teams?
I thought it was weird too, so I dove into it a little bit here. I got some reasons, good or bad. So let's start with the obvious. Why would you want to go there? The Bears. Yeah. Out of all the teams, why the hell would you go to the Bears? Bad offensive line, bad offense, defense is average, and their offensive weapons is subpar.
Yeah.
Not only is the head coach Matt Nagy is also subpar.
Yeah, I don't trust Matt Nagy as like a brilliant player.
Yeah. So that personnel wise, talent wise, head coach wise makes no sense. Talent is terrible, and they're also negative $2.5 million on the cap. So I don't know where you're going to put Russell's $100 million remaining on his contract at.
Well, one of the things that would be crazy if the trade did happen, the Seahawks would take $39 million cap charge in dead money.
Yeah.
Which Carson Wentz just had the largest ever at $33 million. This would be $6 more million on that.
So I mean, all around Bears make no sense. So I'm not seeing what Russell and his agent are seeing in that organization of why he would willing to go there. So that makes no sense. Second one that makes the least sense is the Cowboys. We mentioned just a week or two ago, bad offensive line is aging and getting hurt. Their defense, again, is average. Their offensive scheme is terrible because Mike McCarthy's offense is out of date by generations.
Granted, he's not the play call anymore. Kellen Moore was the play call.
But even then, he
still has some say.
Still not great. Their offensive weapons are good. They have some good talent on the outside and the backfield with Zeke. They have $19 million in cap space. They're the only team out of these four actually are positive in the cap. So that one is like the only benefit that the Cowboys can give is the offensive weapons and the cap space. The one that actually kind of makes sense in a weird way is the Raiders. At first, I was like, that makes no sense. I was like, that's stupid. I was like, why would you want to go to the Raiders? But I'm looking at it. The offensive line is actually phenomenal.
It's good, yeah.
It is good. Their offensive weapons are increasing. They're young, a lot of good
Darren Waller, Del Waller, Jacobs in the backfield.
Jacobs in the backfield. The receivers are older, but they're veterans. So they know.
But you have Henry Ruggs.
You have the new Henry Ruggs. John Gruden in the offensive play scheme. He wants to push high tempo. Russell advocates highly for high tempo when he plays extremely well in it. And they have draft picks. You still got to think they still have draft picks coming up from the Khalil Mack trade.
Plus, you know that the trade would involve Derek Carr coming back to Seattle.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's a lot of room for the Raiders to gain extra there. The only issue is the Raiders are negative $7 million in cap space.
Yeah,
so that part where you're going to put their contract at.
Right.
And then lastly, the Saints, great offensive line again.
Good defense, best overall team.
Best overall team.
Far.
Offensive weapons, huge.
Kamara, Thomas.
I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter what. Defense above average. Sean Payton, again, offense scheme fits well with Russell.
Yeah, outside of Andy Reid, probably the second best play caller in the league.
Yeah, so the offense scheme fits great. They're negative $70 million in cap.
Yeah.
And they started the offseason negative 100.
Yeah.
So they're making moves, but again,
and the thing
you
is,
have $100 million in Russell's contract to fit somewhere, so I don't know where you're going to lose.
Right.
You're talking $107 million swing. That's not possible.
And what they're gonna have to do to get under the cap is they'll probably have to cut a lot of guys, which is gonna really deplete the team.
Yeah.
Especially on the defense side. Like they could trade Marshawn Lattimore. They'll probably have to cut Cameron Jordan.
Yeah.
Like there's all these. Like, they're gonna lose a lot of their team to get underneath this cap number.
Yeah. So like if I'm Russell, I'm like, there's probably things that you're seeing some of these teams that make sense. But it comes from a team to team aspect. When it comes like front offices, like if there are entertaining trade talks. None of these seem like they're actual possibilities.
Right.
Unless these teams, I mean, obviously you're going to get a haul for Russell Wilson through draft picks and through players. Mm-hmm. So the only way this happens is, especially for the Saints, Saints are the Raiders who are probably the best, with the number one, number two container, Saints being one, Raiders being two in my mind. Not only are you trading...
The Saints just don't have the ability of making this
trade. You're cutting players and you're trading away a ton of them to be able to fit that contract in. The Raiders could do it more so. They have... it's negative $7 million, but you're talking 90% less than the Saints negative 70. Mm-hmm. And you're trading Derek Carr's contract, which is a bigger contract as well. You're going to trade a couple other bigger contracts to get that in there. So Raiders could seem like a possibility, but at the end of the day, I'm like, what are you seeing? And none of these teams, I'm like, I don't. Yeah. None of them, not all of them make any sense. Not 100%, or at least not even majority make sense enough.
No. Yeah, these were definitely teams that I didn't expect. Like I thought, like maybe Miami would be in there, and apparently it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't make sense. I'm not sure why. But at the end of the day, I don't believe the Seahawks are gonna trade Russell Wilson. I think they're gonna find a way to figure to make this better. One, it doesn't make sense that the Seahawks to trade him in general. That cap charge alone cripples the team for this year. True. I mean, there's nothing you can do. I think they'll find a way of just resurrecting the situation. Obviously, Russell Wilson should be upset that he's getting hit so much, and Carroll should let him have more say in the offense. Maybe not so much personnel. It's a little bit that might be a little out of it, but at least in
offensive scheme. I mean, for sure. He's your best player. He is the guy that commands the field. If you don't,
he's the face of the franchise.
Yeah. Oh, by far. Not even currently. I mean, of all franchise, he is the face.
He's the best player in the Seahawks history.
Yeah, and there's no doubting that. There's no disrespect to Steve Largent or any of those guys back in the day. Jim Zorn. Did I say his name right?
Yeah, Jim Zorn. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's not great in terms of like the NFL. He was a good Seahawk.
No, but he was a good
Cortez
Seahawk.
Kenny easily. Yeah, I know you mean.
But I'm like, you're talking. If Sean Payton actually said this best, and sort of Andy Reid said this best too. He goes, I can be the best play caller in the league, but if I don't put the QB in a situation that he's comfortable with, then that play call is a dead play call. Yeah. It doesn't matter. So you're putting Russell in situations that he doesn't believe that's the best play call to make, and he's not in a situation where he can make the best play out of that situation, that personnel fit, then you're losing that play 9 times out of 10. It doesn't matter what you think as a head coach or as a play caller is the best play. You're putting your player in a subpar situation, you're gonna get a subpar result. Yeah, that's just how it goes.
I completely agree, and like I said, they got to figure some way out of figuring it out. I mean, the Seahawks don't have a ton of cap space; they're only like $8 million, and they're gonna have to make some changes to even be able to re-sign their own guys, or have to do something there. But they got to figure out some way of fixing this issue.
Yeah.
I gave you one a couple weeks ago about trading for Ronnie Stanley, who is one of the best young tackles in the league. Wants out of Baltimore because he wants to play the left side. Dwayne Brown is in the final year of his contract.
You gotta think Mikey Potty just retired. He's the best guard they have.
Yeah, he was a liability anyways though.
Yeah, but he was still a guy that can lead the offensive line.
Yeah, but like Dwayne Brown's 38 in the final year of his contract.
Yeah,
I bet you if you went to him and just been like, hey, we're gonna make this trade. We want to move you to the right hand side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Dwayne Brown would necessarily be mad at that. Or if he is, be like, hey, Roddy, we want you on the left side. Dwayne's here for one more year. Can you stick it out 1 year on the right side for us?
Yeah, I can see Dwayne Brown. He's 38, injury issues. He's probably retiring after this last season.
Probably.
He was like, why would I want to change to right guard in my last season in the NFL? Why would I do that for myself?
for the betterment of the team, make it better before you go win a championship.
Maybe he has that mindset, but maybe he's like, I'm 38. I don't want to try to learn something new.
All right, deuces.
Then Seattle. Yeah, okay.
And then that doesn't help your offensive line at all. But
then
at least you did bring in a young tackle that you're going to be able to become a cornerstone.
So I mean, outside of personnel changes they need to make to protect Russell, I think more so of it is the respect. Like we said, he apparently it was reported he got some say in the new offensive coordinator say. Some, who knows how much that is? It could have been a tiny bit.
Yeah.
The issue is respect. There was a report that came out that in Week 9 and Week 10, Seattle loses to Buffalo in Buffalo, comes back home, loses
smoked by Buffalo,
comes back home, loses to the Rams in Week 10, back-to-back weeks. There's a report that in that week, the next week, Week 11, they go to Arizona. There's a report that they want to go do their offensive meeting. Russell and all the head coaches go to do it. Russell goes in there and says he has a sheet of paper of this is what I think we needed to fix the offense, get back on our roll game. It is reported that he goes through all of his points, makes his cases, everything gets thrown out the window. No one takes any account serious. No one takes into it. No one even considers it. Takes it, says it. No, we're not going to do that. And doesn't listen to it all. Russell reported storms out of the room, leaves the meeting entirely. And they go to Arizona, and they lose to Arizona.
Yeah, I heard something like that, and from what I heard, I thought I heard a little differently. Where at first it was just the offense, him, Schottenheimer, your receivers, things like that, and they're going over it. And they're making game plan, and Pete Carroll came in after the fact, later in the meeting, and vetoed it all. It's like, no, we're running the ball, basically.
See, that could be it too, because there's also reports. I mean, who knows how accurate the reports are? It's still kind of speculation in some aspects. But there was reports a couple weeks ago that, again, Schottenheimer and Russell had a game plan that they enjoyed together, they wanted, and Pete Carroll said no, because he has final say in all football operations.
Right.
So it could be that way, that the whole offense, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we all believe in that can work, and then Pete Carroll's, no, we're going to run the ball, fundamental football only, I don't care about your high-flying, let Russ cook offense.
Right.
And it could be that as well.
And,
but either way, it's still a disrespect. And I think at the end of the day, Russell wants respect, and he's earned the goddamn respect.
Yeah.
I don't care who you talk to, and he say,
in the words of LeBron James, I want my damn respect too.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, this guy is one of the best QBs in the league and has been for multiple years. I mean,
yeah, he's the only quarterback in the league that's thrown for 30 touchdown passes in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, you don't need any more evidence of what he can do on the field. He's proved it all. And so he's proved his leadership capabilities by far too.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson at the end of the season did come out and advocate for Brian Schottenheimer to stay with him. He said, I like Brian Schottenheimer. We're doing good things here. So maybe the offense that I think
it's Pete.
It very well could be Pete. And I made the argument that it was Schottenheimer that should be fired. Like I thought that because this got stale. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is Pete vetoing that kind of stuff.
We said the same thing all season. Like, everybody did. Like, get rid of the OC. The offense is terrible. And then you get to the offseason and you start seeing reports like, no, it was Carroll that was changing the offensive scheme. Yeah. Russell and Schottenheimer actually had a great relationship. They liked the scheme that they ran the first half of the season. But Pete Carroll didn't. He wants to run fundamental football. That is his bread and butter.
Yeah, but okay, in that case though, Pete, you're a defensive guy.
Stick to the defensive side.
Go work on the defense. That was atrocious for the first half of the season.
Yeah. And it
was historically bad.
Oh, historically, the worst defense we've seen in freaking ever. So, at the end of the day, give the man the respect and let him do what he needs to do. Because obviously, when him and Schottenheimer had their way, you had the 5-1 Seahawks that were high flying, best scoring offense in the league. It looked dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
And then
we were outscoring everyone. It's like if you could have kept that offense and as the defense also improved,
you had
a Super Bowl team.
You had a Super Bowl team towards the end of the year. The defense got back to its normal ways. So yeah, give Russell the damn respect he deserves, and he's earned it. Yeah. And I think this at the end of the day, I think it lies on Pete Carroll. And if you guys haven't listened, a couple podcasts ago, I don't remember what episode, I brought up Pete Carroll's history with USC. Yeah. And I think there's an underlying story that's recurring in Seattle that I mentioned. Interesting take. I'm not sure if I'm correct or not, but I think it's going to lead that way.
It kind of leans to the fact to where Pete's vibrant and exuberant and like this rah type of guy who's always in a good mood, but maybe in his mindset and the way he wants to, he's too stagnant. He's too crotchety to make the difference.
He's not adaptable right now.
Yeah, he's not. Perfect. He's not adapting to what the team needs. He's just stuck in this. Run the ball, avoid turnovers. Win control of the game, and that's how you win.
Yeah, and it's and it's like I said, go listen to that when I brought up the USC references in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, shitty team to great to issues and to leaving.
Right.
And I think we're coming into here's our issues with all the crap that's going on, and Russell being the guy that he is, it's not college. You can't just say no, I'm the guy because in college the head coach is the guy. You don't have to start him like you do in the NFL, and you don't have a star. It's not like you have a tiny QB star. You have Russell fucking Wilson. That's not like you're saying you have Tua in Miami. Like that's you know what I mean?
Right.
You have a guy that's really deserving of this.
Right.
So it's a whole different pedigree here.
I mean, in any way you slice it, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So he deserves to have some say in the offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially it's not like he's top 5. Like it's his 3rd year. It's not like Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick, I'm sure he gets some say, but he's also he's a 4th year guy, 3rd year starter.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know NFL defenses as well as someone like Russell, who's now been in the league for a decade.
Yeah, starting every season.
Yeah.
And has never had a losing season, 8 straight playoff appearances. Like, you're talking a guy that's extremely established.
10 wins in all but 1 season.
Yeah.
Like, the other season that he wasn't, they went 9-7.
Yeah, but they still made playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it's on Pete. Give Russell the respect at the end of the day.
I agree. All right, so let's stay in Seattle, but let's move over to the drama in the Mariners clubhouse.
Yeah, this might be the first time we actually touched on MLB. I'm not positive. We might have mentioned it here once or twice randomly, but very fleeting so far our podcast here.
We'll as the season gets going, we'll definitely jump into the major leagues a little bit more. But full disclosure, neither one of us are major baseball people. So you won't hear us talk about it a lot, but certainly when big things like this happen, we will.
We'll talk about the things that we know. Yeah. We're not ignorant people and talk about sports just because it's a sports podcast.
Right. But we know Seattle. So Kevin Mather, the CEO of the Seattle Mariners, or former CEO
and president,
resigned earlier this week after a very stupid interview he came out where he was. I don't know if he was like drunk. I don't know what. I don't know why he thought
he was at like a Rotary Club.
It was a Zoom call with the Bellevue Rotary Club.
Yeah.
He was extremely candid. It looked like he had no care in the world. I don't know why he thought like this video would not come out.
Yeah.
But let's run through this. So it's a 45-minute Zoom call, roughly, and in it, he said that he hated a couple of different players. One Japanese for not learning English. He was tired of having his translator around.
Yeah, he was tired of paying his translator.
Yeah. Said that one of our best recruits, who's from the Dominican Republic, doesn't speak English well, and he's a loudmouth.
Yeah.
Even though there's YouTube videos out of him speaking in interviews, he speaks English just fine. Like, not a big deal. He said that we overpaid Kyle Seager, who's been the best player in our clubhouse for a decade.
Yeah. He
said that Mitch Haniger, who's our current best player, was complaining to them about what's with all these new prospects coming in. Who am I now? Which didn't happen. Yeah. He called Marco Gonzalez, who's the Mariners' best starting pitcher right now, boring because he doesn't throw hard. He doesn't throw 98, so he's boring. And then he was a bully in the locker room because he apparently pushed Mike Leake, another pitcher, into a locker. Story's false. They said that there was a confidence. It wasn't like that. It was different, completely different. And the best prospect in the Mariners farm system, one of the best prospect probably in baseball, Jared Kalinick, that they purposely manipulated his service time to keep him in the minors at the beginning of the season in order to keep him under team control for 1 extra year. Yeah. That's a lot to break down.
That's a lot. I mean, and there's more to it than just that. That's just this past season.
Yeah.
That's just this past year and a half of off season and season. And there's a long longevity of history of issues of this Mariners front office so there's allegations that go back to early 2000s actually. Mm-hmm. But in the last 5-6 years, there's been major allegations and major issues when it comes to this front office, which he's been a part of this entire time.
Right.
Kevin Mather being. So I don't know. Yeah, he was very candid, like you said. It was almost like he seemed like it was like a one-on-one interview where like it was like a journalist type of. It wasn't in front of his normal huge media crowd.
But even then, that's like if it's an interview at all, like it's gonna come out.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like you're still the president, CEO of an MLB club. Whatever you say is out there, no matter what you think. No matter who you're interviewing with, you could be interviewing with me. that report's still coming out.
Right. Like, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why? It's so weird. I don't know what mindset he was in to be, like, come out with all this stuff.
Right.
But, granted, I'm glad it did, because he should be gone. He should have been fired 3 years ago. So, another story, in 2018, in the Seattle Times article, it came out that through the mid to late 2000s, like 05, 09-ish is kind of what they mostly sourced, was that he had multiple women came forward within the clubhouse or within the Mariners organization, saying that he was sexually harassing them.
Yep.
They paid him off for a lot of money, it sounded like. And this story just came out in 2018, and the Mariners didn't do anything about it then. They should have fired him then. The funny thing is that Kevin Mather's been with the league, with the organization since '96, a long time. He's been president CEO since 2017. So when this allegation come out, you're talking he was already president CEO when these things were officially dealt with. He should have been fired on the spot. Should have been. And that's the one part of the story that I really don't like, is that he resigned, which means they gave him an out, like, hey, like, you have to resign. When you resign, though, you still get, like, part of your contracts still get adhered to. But they should have just fired his ass. Well,
what I saw was reported that he resigned before the club actually came to a final decision on firing or not firing. So he got out before he even came to that conclusion, is what I'm hearing. The organization did come out and say that they have not decided what they're going to do with the rest of his contract, and he does have a small stake in ownership of the Mariners as well. Okay. So they did say, like, we're not sure what's going to happen with the remainder of his contract or with his stake as an ownership. The conclusion is not made yet. Well, he's a minority owner, so that he'll probably get pushed out. Or rightfully so. I'm sure the other owners will come together and buy him out. Yeah, say buy him out, get him out. He should not be around the organization. His name should not be in that organization ever again. No, not at all. And not only out of the sexual allegations, there's also in 2018 another issue with Lorena Martin. If you guys don't know, Lorena Martin was the director of high performance for the Mariners. She did all the injury testing, all the injuries, all the testing, all the performance stuff for all the players. She came out and was fired after one season with being under that. She was fired. The organization claimed that there was complaints about the players, that she wasn't treating the players' injuries correctly, that she was not treating them to like a full extent. That she was like, "What? You're fine. Go do this." Wasn't really taking care of the players that they thought should be. Okay. She came out and said that there was major allegations of racial discrimination against majority of the Latino players there. That the Latino players would come to her and say, and herself, Lorena Martin, is a Latino woman as well. It was saying that, no, like, you hear these guys talk about it, they discriminate, like there was reports that there was bullying and harassment in the locker room against Felix Hernandez, who's like one of the best pitchers in the league for the last 5 years. Well, before that, but yeah. And also a Mariner icon. Yeah. But there was reports that, like, there was player-to-player team discrimination against these guys to disrupt them, to cause issues on purpose, it seemed like. And that herself was, she was only in the director of performance for one season. That's all she was given. And then she got fired. And so she filed a civil dispute. MLB came out and said that there was no real allegation. It was thrown out the window. Basically, there was no hard evidence to do anything against the Mariners. But she is still claiming other things. She's still going on with other prosecutions towards them. The MLB, its own investigation came out and said nothing we can do. There's no hard evidence that we can prove, basically. But like this is 2018. She had been with the Mariners before becoming the director of performance. So you're talking allegations from early 2000s of sexual harassment into the mid 2010s, with the former GM that was fired in 2015 to the sexual harassment. You're talking the last 20 years, and especially the last 10, have been serious issues against the front office. Right. Which Kevin Mather has been around for all of them. Yeah. That's probably what ended up leading to making it worse and worse and worse. And honestly, what all this leads to is the just utter lack of trust between the MLB and their owners and the MLB Players Union. Yeah. It is by far the worst relationship in all of sports between any union and the governing body. Yeah. There's no bipartisanship. Yeah, anywhere. They have zero trust. I mean, literally, when they were negotiating terms for this season, the players wanted to play all 172 games, or however many games they played. A ton. Yeah, too many games. Or,
because they wanted to get paid for all of it.
Yeah.
So the owners literally came back and said, okay, well, we're going to play 162, but we'll still pay you for the full season. So you won't have any of your salary reduced. Yeah. The players still said no because they didn't trust them.
You're going to screw me somehow, and I know it.
Yeah, that's how bad this is.
Yeah.
The owners gave into a major concern of the players. They gave him like, hey, we'll give you that so we can play a season. And the players said no because they're like, nah, you're being shady about this.
Yeah, and I think that's why you see, out of all the major league sports, you see the MLB is the biggest high-paying one because there's no salary cap. It's whatever the owner wants to give you. Yeah. How much he can pay you, he'll pay you. That's why you're seeing these guys like Mike Trout and all these guys get $500 million, these ridiculous contracts you don't ever see in any other sport. And I think you see it because these guys want to cash in. They know at some point that they're screwed. They're going to get killed. They're going to get thrown out the window by the ownership or by the organization, whatever is going to happen. They want to get their money. I think they want out. And I think they know that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Clearly, and like this shows, I'm sure this is not the only organization that this kind of thing is happening to,
Yeah.
That, especially the manipulating of service time, which they did with Jared Kalenic, that's been a problem in other, like, they've been, rumored that that's been going on. But this is, like, just fully, full-blown true in this aspect, in this specific occurrence, which probably happens widespread throughout the major leagues. Yeah. So basically what happened is that Jared Kalenic, the team who they think could be a superstar, they think he could be a potential superstar. He's only 21.
Yeah.
They came to him with a very team-friendly offer. It was like 6 years, with like the last 3 years being like team option. He turned it down because he wants to bet on himself. He's like, no, I want to be able to go and make money.
Yeah.
And basically, this pissed off Kevin Mather. So he told the Rotary Club, he's like, yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start him in the minor leagues this year. We'll bring him up in April because that guarantees that he'll be under our control for one more season.
Yeah, and they can pay him dog shit and let him eat shit.
Yeah.
And we're gonna just control the players, and that's just like that's mainstream. That's brand new information. You know what I mean? And you're talking, you can back 5 years of Kevin Mather being there, or at least since 2017 when he became president and CEO, that there was multiple accounts of players being just controlled and discriminated against and just taken away any potential they have to be the player that they want to be. Not only performance-wise, but paying money-wise. You got to think of MLB is filled with a lot of players that come up from the Dominican Republic and from South America.
Oh, yeah.
The majority of the players do that, and they're all great players. But you have these guys that come up that are not so as educated as what the U.S. system can do money-wise, especially what the MLB owners can do. So they are manipulating all these guys to get the most out of them on the field, but pay them the least amount of money. Because they know they use their background as an advantage to them to
take advantage of it. Yeah.
Some of these guys could get paid $250 million. Like, oh, here's 87. Yeah. I know you take that back home and you're going to be the richest guy in South America or wherever you're from and down there. But he's worth 2 times that. But they're going to rip him off.
Yeah, it's certainly a problem. I said it earlier or in the last episode that the NBA is by far the most progressive league. Mm-hmm. It certainly looks like Major League Baseball is the least progressive.
Yeah, it's definitely down there.
It seems like it's very much still. I think, granted, this is with most leagues in terms of old white money in terms of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference, it seems like in the other leagues, is that they embrace change, and the Major League Baseball just isn't. And they're they're just trying to find ways of cheating these players out of what they're worth, their time. And really, it's hurting their careers in the process.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, if you're an owner, you're just really stupid if you don't look at your players and realize that they are an investment to yourself.
Right.
I mean, without players, in any sport, without the players, you don't have anything. You don't have a sport anymore. But without these big guys pushing and advocating for the right things, not only money-wise, but the way the team is formatted, the coachings, all that stuff, if you don't have guys down there that actually seriously care about what's going to happen with them and the team that they play for, then you're really just failing as a whole organization. You're just wasting time. You're wasting everybody's time in the organization. You're wasting the fans' time to watch your crappy team play because you don't give a crap about what the players think or what they want or what they feel.
Right, and you think about, in the case of the Mariners, have the longest playoff drought in the all sports right now.
Yeah.
And all of Major League sports in the U.S. have the longest drought. It's almost, I think we're right at 20 years now.
Yeah.
And that's been basically the entire time Kevin Mather's been there. And
pretty much.
If that's the case, I'm sure it's not like he was the start of it. I'm sure it started before that with, it trickled down to him and so on and so forth of like the poor relationship, the manipulation, the bad work environment. Clearly,
clearly.
That probably didn't start with him, but it didn't end with him either. And no one's come into this organization and be like, this is wrong. It needs to change.
Yeah.
Luckily, stories like this is the first sign that like change will happen, because now you have to. Because if you don't, you're gonna be eaten alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious where they go with it. The owners are taking the role of president and CEO. They're just combining their roles with Kevin Mather of what he held previously. So I'm curious what they'll do if they'll refill that position.
Probably not before. Probably not this season. We're too close to the season starting. Spring training just started.
Right. I'd like to see them just this year just try to get a culture back to a winning culture. Right. Even if they don't play good this season, try to put the steps in place and your preparation for the game, and like you're having the ownership be a part of like the daily processes, show your interest,
right?
Not just from the front office view. Get personal with your team and start rebranding that culture.
Oh, for sure. And to kind of bring this back into kind of a micro view of just the Mariners, the timing of this in terms of like the Mariners for the first time in a long time show like a bright future because of these young. Like, we have a very good. Their farm system has gotten great. Yeah. Kalenic is there. The other kid from the Latino kid, Julio Rodriguez. He's a really good prospect. He's like the number 2 prospect and a top 10 prospect in the major leagues. I mean, they have these guys that are coming up over the next 2-3 years that are going to put this team into contention, possibly. And now you've alienated half of them.
Yeah.
Are they going to even want to stick around? Even if you make major change within the organization and it becomes better, are they going to want to stick around because of the way you treat them now?
It depends. It depends on how much the 2 owners had dealt with and knew about the situation that Kevin Mather had dealt with. It's possible that they weren't fully aware of how Kevin Mather was running the team underneath them.
Well, that's probably true. I mean, the majority owners aren't based in the U.S. They're based in Japan.
So it's possible. It's more than likely that they weren't fully aware of the situation, or if they knew some aspects, they probably weren't. They probably didn't know enough of the story to know how real hard or difficult it was. So if that's the case, then I think we'll see real good change, like the culture change. We'll see that like, holy crap, we're sorry we didn't know that this was this bad. That Kevin Mather was playing us all, basically type of deal, and he was just doing whatever he wanted and dumbing it down to us even.
Right.
So we could see serious change from that aspect, or you could see if it's the owners knew about it to any type of decent aspect that the players are gone. You're talking a rebuild on rebuilds because
they've been rebuilding for 2 decades.
Yeah, but you're talking a rebuild of even player talent. Right. You're talking all your young studs are quitting on you. They want out. They want it with an organization that actually cares about their career and wants to win as well. So if it goes as far as the owners were in on all this bull crap that's happening, you're talking ownership change or severe rebuild of every player on the roster, rebuild of every coach on the roster type of thing. It depends on how far of the change it really goes.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling it probably doesn't go all the way to the main owners, like I said, because they're not that hands-on of owners compared to other organizations. So yeah, it probably doesn't. Hopefully they can turn around because, like I said, the Mariners finally have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And, as an organization and the players that are coming up, they could end up being very, very good here shortly.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can turn around. I'd hate for them to see, the one bright spot they finally had going for them, go dim in the blink of an eye like that. So
yeah, we'll see where this story leads. I'm sure there'll be a lot more reports coming out through the offseason, the beginning of the season, or prior to season start. We'll see what kind of changes made. But that's all we have for today.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of different topics we got. A lot of different things we covered between this episode and last. So if you haven't seen the last episode, go watch that.
Yep.
Full NBA preview if you missed it. Some just updates on the sports world through this one.
Yeah, and going forward, I mean, obviously there's the big event coming up. We have March Madness.
Yep.
Conference tournaments are depending on what conference you're in, they should be starting in a week roughly or so,
Right.
or maybe 2 depending on where you're at. We got Selection Sunday right around the corner.
Yep.
And then the tournament starts. And
So we're going to be getting some college basketball, which we haven't really touched on either in the podcast history so far.
Not a ton of,
but we do care about college basketball. It's something we do watch and look forward to. So we'll be jumping into March Madness for sure for you guys.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So thank you for sticking around listening to us again. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. And as always, please hit us up at Herbie Sports Talk on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
and YouTube.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify and iTunes.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. You have a good week.